Nolan Schanuel is not your typical first baseman, but there's a non-typical first baseman we'd love to have on our team. And Schanuel might not be far off from becoming this player. It's time for a quick hit here on Locked On Angels. Happy New Year's Eve to you, everybody. My name is John Frisch. I'm one half of the Super Halo Bros and one half of the host of Locked On Angels. This is one of our quick hits episodes where we take one topic and discuss it in between our regular episodes. Now, please bear in mind that I've got a dog and a baby, so if you hear any background noises, just bear with me on that. But I'm happy that you're here checking out this episode. And I want to talk about Nolan Schanuel just a little bit. Let's talk about where Nolan Schanuel has been. To start 2024, he struggled. A 207 batting average from the start of the season until June 11th. But in that time, he did hit 7 home runs. Then from June 12th onward, he had a 372 plate appearances, 13.7% walk rate, a 16.1 K rate, and he slashed 280, a 386 on base, and a 386 slugging. He had a 125 weighted runs created plus. That's 25% better than league average. He had 6 home runs the rest of the season. Now, there was that notion that Schanuel was trying to answer the lack of power criticism that a lot of people put on him. And we can kind of see that in the first 2 months of the season. He hit 7 home runs, but also the results weren't great in terms of his batting average and whatnot. But then he got more consistent with his hitting. Only had 6 home runs the rest of the season, but I think the trade-off there was that he became a more consistent hitter, trying not to be a power hitter, and getting back to who he should be, and that's an on-base guy and a hitting for average guy. So far, Nolan is a better singles, double guy, a contact guy, hit for average guy, take a walk kind of guy. That's who he's been, and that's what's made him successful when he's had success in MLB so far. Again, 2024, his first full season, he had 275 in the short window of time he came up in 2023. Is that going to change? Well, let me remind everyone that Nolan is 22 and he will be 23 when the season starts. Guys, he's also 6'4", 220 pounds. So I think there's plenty of time for him to hit for power in the future, add some muscle. We all know that he's not fully developed physically at 22 going on 23. And again, 6'4" dude, I shook his hand once and the guy's way bigger in real life than he looks on TV. So that's who Nolan Schanuel has been. And I said, we're going to compare him to a non-typical first baseman. And that's Luis Arráez, who last year hit 314, had a 346 on base, 392 slugging, and a 739 OPS. He had 4 home runs, 83 runs scored, 46 RBIs, and 9 stolen bases. You might be surprised to find that Schanuel and Arráez are more similar than you think. For the audio listeners, I have a StatCast graph for both Luis Arráez and Nolan Schanuel. The video watchers can see this, but I will describe it and just kind of give you the main points here. They have very similar StatCast profiles, especially going back to last year. What they have in common is both good and bad. So let me talk about what they have in common that's good. The expected weighted on base average, or xWOBA, both very similar. WOBA, of course, measures how a player gets on base, whether that's a walk, a hit, or a home run, and kind of scores that. Now, they're very, very similar in that regard. The launch angle sweet spot percentage, I know that's a mouthful, but it's essentially how often do they hit that sweet spot when it comes to launch angle. Both very similar in that way. Both of them are very good in their squared up percentage, so they're squaring the ball up very well. Both of them are very good in the terms of their whiff percentage, so they don't swing and miss a whole bunch. And of course, their K percentage, they're very, very similar as well. So again, for our video watchers, we got Luis Arráez on the left, Nolan Schanuel on the right, but those are the areas that they're very, very similar. And they're also bad together as well. Similar situations for the bad. Their expected slugging, not great. Their average exit velo, not great. Their barrel percentage and hard hit percentage, also not great. So those are the ways that they are similar, both good and bad. Now let me talk about the differences. Luis Arráez has a better expected batting average than Schanuel. Arráez' expected batting average is 310 versus Schanuel's 258 from last season. And if you remember, expected batting average measures exit velocity and launch angle of the ball in play, and then it compares those to balls in play with similar exit velos and launch angles and how often they land for hits. So that's how they measure expected batting average. Now, another difference between Arráez and Schanuel doesn't chase as much as Luis Arráez does. Schanuel also takes more walks, 11.2% walk rate versus Arraez's 3.6% walk rate. So, if these two are so similar and their StatCast graphs are so similar and their profiles are so similar, what is it about Luis Arráez that gives him a better expected batting average and a better batting average in general than Schanuel? What can Nolan do to get more in line with hitting like Luis Arráez? I think I have the answer, and it's all in their approach at the plate. Before we continue, let me take some time to thank today's sponsors. First of all, thank you to Gametime for sponsoring today's show. They're focused on togetherness this holiday season, bringing people together at live events, giving them an experience that is so much better than just a simple trinket for a gift, right? With Gametime, you'll save money on all sorts of tickets. Right now, Gametime has an exclusive offer for the Rose Bowl tomorrow, friends. And I'm here in Pasadena, and it's an exciting time around here. But you can get 10% off tickets in the home corners, away corners, the end zones, making prices even better with their exclusive zone deals that are specially selected ahead of the game in specially selected areas of the stadium where fans can find deeper discounts by letting Gametime choose the exact seats for the game. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Gametime. Download the Gametime app today. Use our promo code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Also, thank you to our friends at FanDuel. The NFL playoffs are almost here. It's not too late to get on the regular season, though, because FanDuel has a ton of action on the app. Right now, you can finish the season strong with $250 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. There's so many ways for you to pick up a W on FanDuel. You can bet on who will win the game. Also, bets for which players are going to score a touchdown, how many points each team will score, so much more. Visit FanDuel.com today for your chance at $250 in bonus bets. Make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. Now, let me continue my previous point. Given that Arráez and Schanuel are so eerily similar, what is it that Luis Arráez does differently at the plate that causes him to hit for such a high average? And could Nolan Schanuel do that as well? Let's take a look. I think it all comes down to plate discipline. Let me tell you where they are similar in terms of plate discipline. Swinging at pitches in the strike zone, they do that at a very similar rate, a very similar percentage. They also take first pitch strikes at a very similar rate. And the amount of called strikes they take in the zone is about 20% for each of them. So those are the areas in which Arráez and Schanuel are similar. Now, the key difference here is, where are they different? Remember how I said that Nolan has a better / lower chase rate than Luis Arráez? That might actually be one of the key differences here. Arráez decides to swing at pitches outside the zone 13% more than Nolan Schanuel. And even though he chases more, Arráez makes contact on pitches outside the zone 14% more than Nolan Schanuel. In fact, look at where Luis Arráez gets a lot of his hits, and this is from last season. You can see that on the video side, the left-handed bat of Luis Arráez is there on the right side of the plate. This is the catcher's perspective. And for those listening on the audio side, Pitches up and away. Luis Arráez has 21 hits up and away outside the zone, 17 hits down and away, and down and in, he has 15 hits. And then, of course, over the heart of the plate, he's got 25 hits, 24 hits at the top of the zone. So he's making a lot of contact. The only areas where he struggles are the edges of the zone and then up and in as well. So you could see, even though he's reaching and chasing, he's still getting a lot of hits away, down, and in around the edges of the strike zone. So while they're both good at not swinging and missing, Arráez actually doesn't whiff as much as Nolan Schanuel. It's a very small number, but Nolan Schanuel swings and misses 5.5% of the time. Luis Arráez, 2.9% of the time. Arráez makes contact in the zone 6% more than Nolan Schanuel, which is interesting to me because Schanuel's bat speed is actually 2 miles per hour faster on average than Arráez. It almost makes me think that Luis Arráez is very intentional about sacrificing the bat speed, the launch angle, the power, in order to just emphasize contact and even hit pitches outside the strike zone. So overall, Luis Arráez is making contact on pitches inside and outside the zone about 8% more than Nolan Schanuel. So what should Schanuel do to be more like Luis Arráez? First of all, he's got to have less swing and miss. He's already one of the best in MLB at not swinging and missing. That is Schanuel. He's in the 96th percentile across every hitter in Major League Baseball. But remember, 2024 was his first full season seeing Major League pitching. So that's going to take some time to adjust to. Obviously, Arráez has more experience. He recognizes Major League pitches much better than Schanuel. So I think that that's going to change. However, Schanuel's best month last year, July, was when his swing and miss percentage was the lowest it was all season. And continuing on that trend of his best month last season, again, July, Schanuel needs to shorten up that swing. His swing length dropped during the month of July significantly. He shortened up his swing, and he had his best month of the year. And that makes sense, right? A longer swing is going to lead to more swing and miss. So Schanuel shortens it up, makes more contact, hits for over 300 in the month of July. And speaking of contact, Schanuel needs to emphasize contact. In fact, during July, Schanuel chased the least he did in 2024. And while Arráez does chase more out of the zone, he makes more contact inside and outside the zone. So Schanuel would benefit from, again, shortening up the swing, emphasizing contact, and getting less swings and misses inside the strike zone. So final question here. Is this who Schanuel is going to be forever? Does he need to be a Luis Arráez type to succeed in his career, emphasizing contact, emphasizing less swing and miss, and not trying to be a power guy? I don't think this is who Schanuel will be forever, but we know so far that his really great walk rate, taking walks, and hitting for average, those are the two strengths he has right now. And in 2025, I think he could emphasize contact and hitting for average and being true to who he's been so far. But the reason I say I don't think he'll be like this forever, again, he's a 6'4", 220-pound guy. And I don't know a guy like that is going to stay a contact guy. I think that he can put on some power and some muscle and be a different kind of player in the future. Considering Luis Arráez is 5'10", that's who he is, right? And Schanuel, while he does profile similar to Arráez, I don't think that's who he's going to be forever. At 22 years old, going on 23, being really tall, again, trust me, I shook his hand, met him in person, got to say hello, got to fangirl a little bit. He's a big dude. And so I don't think he's going to be this kind of player forever. But as of now, with the Angels having plenty of power to go around the team in terms of Mike Trout and Soler and O'Hoppe, even Zach Neto, who hit over 20 home runs, Taylor Ward, Joe Adell, there's plenty of power to go around. I think emphasizing contact and getting on base, really establishing that for Nolan Schanuel is going to lead to a lot of success for him in 2025. So I hope this was helpful. I hope that you could see the similarities and the differences between Schanuel and Arráez, and what it would take for Schanuel to be more of a Luis Arráez type of hitter. That's going to do it for this episode of Quick Hits. We're back on New Year's Day with a full episode. Mike and I will be here for you. So we hope you have a great New Year's Eve. Stay safe out there, and we'll see you back here tomorrow on New Year's Day.